I'd like to introduce Kimberly from the US, who takes LDN for fibromyalgia, and she also has a service dog that takes LDN. Welcome, Kimberly.
Hello.
Where would you like to start?
Well, I could start with, I have an American Cocker Spaniel service dog who about a year ago ended up with, year and a half ago, with liver disease and liver cancer, and started getting a really bad knee. And some people had mentioned LDN for her as well as myself, but I'll finish with her. And I put her on LDN in liquid form and drops, and it seemed to start working. Her legs started to feel a lot better, and then I noticed she was a little heavy, so I backed off on it. And then everyone kept asking me, when am I going to jump and start LDN for the chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia? And then I finally got on it about 5 months ago and realized that, oh my gosh, this is wonderful, and got my service dog back on it at a smaller dose. And it's been a year and a half. She is surviving liver disease and cancer, and she can walk. She can use all 4 of her legs most times now, where she went a year without using one of her legs because of the knee. So it's been about a year now, about, 5 months for her, and she's using her leg, and the vet is amazed that she's even alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is something, isn't it?
Yes, and she's not suffering either.
Oh, that's good. Now, yourself, your chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, when did those symptoms start? How long ago?
I probably have been ill with this disease about 17 years now. I'm 50, so about 17 years, and I had the chronic fatigue first, and then I started doing volunteer work and went back to school, and the stress of school caused me, I didn't know at the time I was coming down with fibro. I couldn't walk for 3 months. And I was also, back then I used to be a runner and a cyclist, weightlifting, and I couldn't walk anymore. And so they did an MRI, an emergency MRI, to see if I might need surgery, and it turns out there was nothing showing in the MRI, and the orthopedic said, I think you have what they call is fibromyalgia. And then that was the beginning of the excruciating and horrific pain, mimicking like blown discs in my spine for years now.
Right. So what was your condition like when you first started LDN?
Before I started LDN?
Yes.
I had no life. I would be at least housebound for 3 weeks out of the month, literally housebound and depressed, because I would break out with, and it could be also, I think the hormones made the disease worse. I would get mouth sores that the doctors can't even explain here. They don't even know what it was. It was awful. My face would swell from them. I would get chronic coughs for weeks and weeks and weeks. Pain, feeling like pain, different kinds of pain. The pain in my spine or my shoulder would feel like a blown rotator cuff or a blown disc, but then I would also get in between times where the pain would be so bad it felt like someone took a baseball bat and beat me up. Along with the chronic fatigue immune disease, I could at least take pain meds to help some of the pain, but the chronic fatigue immune disease was wiping me out so much, the exhaustion was too much. Sometimes I couldn't even drive a car.
Wow.
So it would make I'd lose my appetite. It would even be hard to breathe. I kind of felt like everything inside of me was just stopping. And then even though I would sleep 12 hours, I'd still wake up completely exhausted, like I never slept. And I could barely walk. I'd also get fibromyalgia pain not only in the spine and the shoulder, that also affected migraines, which I would get quite a bit off and on, and acute stomach pain, which mimicked like an appendicitis attack. And so I stopped going to the hospital for that because they couldn't find anything. So it was a really painful journey. I used to not want to get up. I'd ask God to take me if He wants to take my life. I didn't want to stick around. Thank God I had a service dog, And I said, as soon as you take her, take me with her, because quality of life was gone. I no longer could pursue dreams and goals because the disease doesn't allow me to be consistent in something I have put myself into, except with exception now, working on a manuscript about this disease, because I also don't look disabled. I have what they call hidden disabilities, and I also still eat good and have always tried to maintain myself even with this disability. And I've been subjected to with this disease by a lot of discrimination because I look too good to be disabled. Mm-hmm. And little does anyone know that I'm housebound most of the time, and the pain I suffer and the exhaustion I suffer, and how it's impacted my whole life, physically, emotionally, dating-wise, all of that, and until I started getting on LDN.
Okay, when you first started LDN, did you notice any introductory side effects?
When did I start?
No, did you notice any side effects when you started?
Did I notice any on LDN?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, honestly, when I was ordering out of the country, I did notice a couple side effects, a little bit more hypered energy and itching, and I am now getting prescribed LDN through my own doctor here in California, and I'm not getting any itching or exasperating too high of a feeling. It's more stable feeling, mm-hmm. and it's a feeling like, oh my gosh, I can do life. I can at least do things, more things than I could ever do before. I'll never be back to my perfect health, but boy, do I have quality left. And about the side effects, the one I'm on from the U.S., I am not feeling any side effects at all.
Oh, fantastic. That is very good. What would you say to other people who are contemplating trying LDN?
For other people who might want to try LDN?
Mm-hmm.
Jump as fast as you can. Don't wait, and don't waste another second of your life in depression from this disease when you could at least get 5 hours out of your life. That's wonderful, and you can get back into thinking about things to do. You're on way less pain medication, but quality of life is so important. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who have families and they feel left out, and LDN can give them quality of life. I'm not healed, but I have quality of life that is so beautiful. And I actually, if this helps, I get up in the morning now and I say, God, oh gosh, we got to get up, we got to live.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
Grateful. I'm so grateful for LDN. I'm just so grateful that LDN is even out there for us. And like I said, I'm not going to go back and say I should have jumped sooner, but I'm glad I jumped. And I'm taking it now, and my service dog.
What else would you like to add, Kimberly?
I'd like to share something about this disease before the LDN is, I've gone to school, I worked, and one thing that this disease has done to my life is taken away quite a few dreams. I went back to school to study. After I graduated, I ended up disabled, and I ended up ill. And then I ended up volunteering, helping women in domestic violence in the legal field, and I was doing crisis intervention and guest speaking, and also doing legal work and helping women in court. And and by the way, when I volunteered, they also worked around my disability. It was very, very monitored. But the other goal is I went back to school because the attorney thought that I could get into that field. So I put myself back in school, and then that's when the fibromyalgia kicked in, so that took away another dream. And then I kept thinking, what can I do at home and give back to the world and find a way to survive and be a part of the world? So I started a manuscript about hidden disabilities and discrimination. And since I've gotten on LDN now, not only do I feel like I have hope in working with the manuscript and getting my second rewrites done, but I had started the Haley Project dedicated to my service dog. And the Haley Project I do out of my apartment for free, helping people with hidden disabilities with resources, whether needing to know what the laws are regarding service dogs, housing, discrimination, if they need help with getting on their Social Security and any legal questions, and referring, giving them resources that may help them so that they can find a way to survive, especially for those who have never been disabled and have to finally deal with being disabled with fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue. It's a very, very lonely and painful process, and I like to know that I can be there to, even if it's just for emotional support and somebody needs to talk.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Okay.
Yes. And I have hope now. I have hope that I can now proceed with the goal of the book without feeling like, oh, how would I ever be able to do the next phase? Meaning, you know, even if somebody has to do speaking, my health was so bad, there was no way I could do that. Where now I feel like, wow, I can really hopefully pursue this dream and goal and be able to follow through with it, and because of the LDN.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this research and the service to help others. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much.